was at a urinal at the NME Awards, and Bernard Sumner pulled up next to me, to my right, and started singing Somebody Told Me. Yeah, how many times do people cry on Vulture? I don't know. Hello, everybody. This is Brandon Flowers, and this is my music history only on Vulture. I always go back to my brother's bedroom door being closed. And he was 12 years older than me. And so I would have been about 6 when the Cure's Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me came out, and he was fully invested in the alternative scene. You know, they call it alternative. And his room was forbidden, but I would hear Just Like Heaven. He would play it, you know, he would play it, and it was sort of the most accessible song, especially for a 6-year-old on that record, because there's some heavy stuff on that record and some dark stuff on the record. But when Just Like Heaven came on, I wanted in. I wanted into that bedroom, I wanted into that sound, and it's just funny now because it's also got this beautiful marriage of synthesizers and rock and roll and melody, and it's still a part of my life. Yeah. My first cassette that I bought it in Utah. I bought the Cars' Greatest Hits. It was with my mom. And I didn't have a job yet. You know, she would have forked over the cash. It was just a thrill, you know, taking the cellophane off. It had such a strong, sense of aesthetic, and the songs on that were just amazing. It was always unattainable to me. This thing. It seemed like something that other people did. Art was something that other people did. And the band that comes to mind is New Order. I feel like at the time that was the one that felt like it was sort of possible to do what they were doing. Even though, you know, there's a magic involved and a lot of luck involved, but I remember feeling jealous of New Order, and that was where my fandom shifted to try to do it on my own, because normally you just enjoy, and all of a sudden I'm hearing True Faith, and that jealousy is coming into play, combined with their sense of drama and melody. And synthesizers and a little bit of guitar. I mean, I just loved it. I'm not a great piano player or synth player, but when you start messing around with sounds, you can't help but learn something like "Take on Me," that synth line. We inherited a piano when I was a kid. My great grandma came to live with us. Gosh, damn! So I've been emotional every time I talk about this. Yeah, how many times do people cry on Vulture? I don't know. My great grandma, she was in '93, and instead of putting her in a home, my mom, was her granddaughter, opted to take care of her for her final time, for her final days on this earth. She wrote country music, and she actually had a couple of her songs recorded, and it was by some pretty well-known singers. They brought everything that she owned in a horse trailer, and they lived on a farm in the middle of Nevada. And so it's like among these, there's like stalks of hay and whatever else you can imagine in the back of a horse trailer, and there's all of Dixie's belongings, and there's an upright piano, and there was a woman at our church that gave lessons. Me and my sister, 2 of my sisters, started piano lessons, and I just sort of stuck with me. My first casino performance was on a New Year's Eve with my first band. We were called Blush Response, and we played in a brasserie in what was the Aladdin, and it's now Planet Hollywood. And I worked in this brasserie, and they were going to have a party on New Year's Eve for the staff, and they allowed us to set up and play a few songs. And this was just, a year before I was in the Killers. Famously, the first thing that I finished was Mr. Brightside. I met Keuning, and he had a bunch of riffs on a cassette tape, and one of them was the verse and the pre-chorus to what you know as Mr. Brightside. And I was already toying around with this sort of monotone spoken word delivery. I had it on other songs that I was doing at home, but I just slapped it right on top of what Dave had, and then I stuck a chorus on it, and that's the first song that I completed lyrically, and that's, and you can, it goes back to even the second verse is the same as the first. I mean, I was just learning. Mr. Brightside just sort of stuck around, but yeah, we all liked it. We didn't know that it was necessarily, none of us knew it was going to become what it's become. There are different ways to look at it. I think there were things that, signing the first record deal with Lizard King that was that was an indie label in the UK. That was a pretty big deal. And then it was a major label in Island Records. That was a big deal. But then there were things that were more personal, like being asked to open for Morrissey. Monumental situation. At the time. Someone that you idolize is asking for you to open for them. Oh, he was just exactly like he should be. He came and watched us sound check. We played "Smile Like You Mean It," and he's just it's an empty room and it's just him and your sound guy out front and my brother. My brother is a huge Morrissey fanatic. And I have a reference. I steal a little bit from a Smith song in "Smile Like You Mean It" lyrically, and it's just funny. It's like this weird full circle moment. Someone that gave us great confidence that seemed to put their seal of approval on us was Elton John. But that was a little bit later. But you still need that, and you still appreciate that. He started having a residency in Las Vegas, and our first album was out, and you start getting invited to lunch with Elton, or to come see a show and be around him, and he was just really complimentary, and it's just like you can't help but get a boost from that. He's aware of what you're doing, and he wants to hear what you're writing, and he's playing you his next album, and he just is like got this crazy appetite for new music, and so that was a really, I think in hindsight now, that was like a really positive thing for me in my life. There was a moment on the first tour we had a song called Glamorous Indie Rock and Roll. Going back to the showmanship thing and the frontman thing, there was something where I wanted to have a pause and a light involved and turn it into a show. And there was some hesitation from someone in the band. I think it was Vannucci at the time. And it felt like maybe I was being too singular at that moment or something like that. But I don't know. It's that kind of stuff has softened over the years, and I think he understands that it comes with the territory of being the front man. We had done 3 records, so after Day and Age, I made my first solo record, and there was talk of taking a break or a hiatus, and I'm a little bit younger than the other guys, and I got this. I just had my fire was still burning hot, and so it seemed like an okay thing to do. I never intended to quit the Killers, but I just wanted to keep the ball rolling, I think. And so Flamingo was born out of that. Talk about pinch me moments. I was at a urinal at the NME Awards in London, England, and Bernard Sumner pulled up next to me, to my right, and started singing Somebody Told Me. And it was like, I was like 23 or whatever, it's just too much for a person, I think. My first time meeting Noel Gallagher, who was, notoriously mean, came up and started talking about all these things that I've done and the progression and learning it, and he couldn't believe how simple it was, and it was like, it was not a year before that I was sitting on my bed trying to pick out Oasis songs. That's just, you can't prepare your message with your brain a little bit, that kind of stuff. When we wrote the song, it didn't have a beat, and it was structurally there, but we didn't have a drummer and a bass player. So I was playing the bass. I can hold down 8th notes like nobody's business, and we were trying out a drummer, and it was the first time that I heard it with a beat, and everything changed, and the arms, the hairs on my arms stood up, and that was usually reserved for music that I was listening to in my car or on my stereo, and this was mine, and so I think that was the first moment with that song that I had that felt like that. Thank you all for watching my music history. For more content like this, like and subscribe.